Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome aboard to our brand new podcast called Taking Off with Mike and Jen.
In this podcast, we will be diving in and unpacking all the baggage, anything from communication to finances, family dynamics, expectations, and what it looks like to fight or flight.
We have 32 years of marriage and a lot of Christian counseling under our belts, so no matter where you find yourself, whether that's being single, dating, engaged, or married, this podcast is just for you.
Are you ready to take your relationships to new heights?
If so, sit back, relax. We have been cleared for takeoff. Welcome back, everybody, to flight number 3, where it's going to be nonstop service to Crazy Land. So the first 15 months we talked about in the last 2 flights, and this one we're going to dig even deeper into what was really going on. Why are 2 people who seemingly really like each other fighting like cats and dogs? So we're going to get into it. As you remember, Jennifer was engaged when I met her. Well, I should go back just a sec. She had recently gotten unengaged.
Disengaged?
Disengaged? Unengaged? So
broke up.
2 weeks before she met me, she had been in a relationship for I don't even know how long.
That's what's funny. I can't remember either.
Great.
Can't remember. I know, but it was a while.
So, God throws little curveballs. She had no probably idea that she was going to meet me on this trip.
No.
And she did meet me, and she had no interest in a relationship, and she meets me, and then bam, here we go, right back into another one. Mm-hmm. But she jumped right in, it seems like, right?
Sure. That was my MO.
Yeah. So it was certainly a curveball. She didn't have any money, as we discussed in the last flight. And I had a job as a flight instructor, and I was flying some corporate, so I wasn't doing too bad. But Jennifer had recently left this engaged situation, and now she's on her own, living at her mom's house and doesn't have any money. And so it was kind of adamant to her that she wasn't going to do anything when Dana said, "You want to go to Disney World? You want to spend the day?" And of course, she doesn't have any money, so her decision probably should have been, "No, I don't want to go." But you decided to just go, right?
Thank goodness, yeah. Because your cousin was so persistent, and I just thought, which we'll talk about later, I think I have a credit card. I'll just stick it on the credit card. It'll be fine.
Which was a pattern that we did for probably,
I
hate to say it, many years.
Yeah.
That really got us into trouble over and over again.
Yeah. Can help with that too.
It seemed like it didn't matter how good of a job that we had.
Right.
Or how much money was coming in. We always seemed to find a way to just live above that.
Justify it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I remember thinking if I could just make $50,000, I'm just good. If I ever make $100,000, my problems are over. There's never going to be another problem. The problem is you buy the nicer car, you get into the nicer house, you do more traveling, and it never ends. It's the same exact stupid cycle
you might as well
that
still
you
make
keep
50,
yourself in.
right.
I mean, there's no difference in the feeling that happens. So, the money thing took us a long time to really figure out.
It did.
And, from reading books to talking to people to envelopes with money in it to cutting up credit cards, it was a disastrous, it was just a hard road to go down. Well, and it all started probably when you're on your own, you're out of your parents' house. You now are paying for your own things. You're used to a certain lifestyle, and then you just go. And credit cards are easy to get.
Yes.
They're high interest rates, as everybody knows, and they just tear you up.
Right. And I wasn't taught about money.
No. So really, when Jennifer and I got together, she came in with some debt. I mean,
I did.
It was a situation where, as our relationship went forward, and I was in that point of like, well, maybe I'm going to take on some debt now because I'm into this girl and I don't know where this is going to go, but the debt's going to come my way. So it's something that young couples that are together, no matter what situation they're in, they need to get a hold of this debt situation, which we can talk further about in future episodes for sure. I'm glad that she decided to go. I'm glad that she decided that, I don't have any money, but I'm going to do it anyway. Not the best decision for everything, but this is the decision she made. And of course, it turned out good for us that we met. When we met, I said it was lust at first sight, right? For both of us, when we met, it was lust at first sight, not probably a good pattern to get into.
But that's how things start. You have to remember, that's how it starts. When you meet somebody and you have chemistry, it's not, oh, I love you all of a sudden, but you love so much about them because of the chemistry, but it really is lust at first sight. You are correct. It's not a love at first sight, it's lust at first sight. But you have just that chemistry. So, yeah, I mean, that's how it works. That's how everybody, I would hope, pursues their
The problem is,
lusting love.
is it doesn't stop.
True.
It just
Boundaries. That's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about that ride. When we went to Disney World, as you recall.
Yep.
And I found that I was on every single ride with you.
Yes.
And so I think part of what was going on there is I was in the major pursuing mode. I was in the mode where I wanted to be with her. I wanted to get to know her better. I can only imagine how you felt when I'm there with my cousin, or as it seemed, I was there with my cousin, and yet I never rode on any rides with my cousin. I was always with you.
I just didn't even think about it. I don't know. I didn't think about it. I just remember thinking, oh, he's so cute and he's so fun. And every time I'd put on my little harness strap and I'd look over, it'd be you, not Mark. And I'd be like, oh, okay. I think he likes me. This is fun.
So I was certainly pursuing. That's one thing that guys do very well is they pursue. They pursue very, very hard. It's like they're a hunter and they're going out into the woods and they're like, I'm going to get that deer no matter what. If I have to be cold, if I have to stay up in this stand all morning long, I'm going to be victorious. And that is something that is a reoccurring theme in a relationship where when you are the pursuer, like the guys are, once you get that deer, once you get that girl, once you achieve what your goal was, then it's relax time. And so, Jennifer was being pursued by me. And this has been something that has really happened over the last 33 years of knowing you. Sometimes I'm a good pursuer, and sometimes it's like...
I have to remind you.
You do a good job of that.
I do, because we used to fight about it, and I never knew what was bothering me. And then I think about it, and I think, hold on, sir. Sir, you pursued me. Now we're married. It's not like you take me for granted on purpose. I don't think it's a purposeful thing.
No.
It just, I think it happens. Life, kids, jobs. And so I have to remind you and say, hey, we may have the ring on our fingers and I'm not going anywhere, but I still want to feel valued and pursued by you.
Right.
For sure.
Yep. And I get into that comfortable feeling of, okay, we're married or we're a couple. Of course I love you. Of course I, am into you. Of course you're special to me. Yet what that pursuing was like, where I'm chasing her down all the time and I'm sending her flowers and I'm doing,
notes
or poems or whatever it is. And then that stops because the chase is over and I have her. That is not going to make her feel special.
Right.
And of course, then if I am doing that and then she heads off to work and somebody says something nice to her or buys her a coffee or whatever, what's that going to do? That's going to spring up a little bit of, wow, that was nice.
Someone still finds me valuable. Someone still finds me attractive. Someone still, all the things, all the traps, truly the traps you can get into. So you do have to be careful. And it's not like I need you to pursue me every second and, pine over me.
And it's just natural what we do. We selfishly go after somebody because we want them. Once we get it, then we're okay. It's no different than if you say, man, I really want that car. And you do everything that you can to get that brand new car, whatever it takes. You get it, and then after a month, it's just not as special as it was.
Like you keep it clean and no one's eating in this car. No one's eating. And then after a couple of months, you're like,
then
let's eat
somebody's
in the car.
eating. And then before you know it, you've got a piece of junk.
Good analogy.
You don't wash it anymore. You don't take care of it anymore. What was so special about it in the first place?
Yeah.
And until it's gone and you don't have a car, you don't realize what you had.
Right. That's right.
Jewelry. Are girls like that with jewelry? Clothes.
Maybe clothes.
Makeup.
Yeah, maybe makeup.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. We're just, that's the way we're
It's
bent.
different, yeah.
We're bent like that. It's very selfish. And you have to be cognizant of that.
So in saying that, with the pursuing, I do think where I did mess up, I won't say regret, but it was a little bit of a mess up. I would have liked to have now been able to tell the story a different way. When I put that note, if you remember, I put that note in his wallet and put 500 gallons of perfume on it.
Right.
I wish I would not have done that. And I say that because I guess now I can look back and say, how hard would he have really tried to find me? Because back then, he couldn't have just gone to my airline and said, oh, I met this flight attendant. This is her name. I need her number. And it's still really that way. It's all very secure. And we've had this talk back and forth where he's like, oh, I just would have called my cousin. She would have gotten to your supervisor. They would have gotten your number. I said, but it still would have, the fight, it just would have still been more of a fight, more of a chase. And I would have liked to have now seen you do it.
Oh, that would have been easy.
No. And he's been saying this for all these years. It would not have been easy. She would have had to go to my supervisor and say, can I get Jennifer's number?
Right.
She'd have to contact me, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
So instead of calling you right when you came through the door, it
who
would have
knows
been
how
the
long
next
it'd
day.
been? Well, who knows? We don't know. But the point is, ladies, I want you guys to try to find yourself valuable enough that you deserve pursuing, for sure, 100%. And we can get more into that also later of where that value comes from. You know, I was not raised with solid father leadership, love, acceptance. So, you know, I came in differently. I wasn't empowered. I didn't feel very valued. So that definitely affected how I went into any relationship with a guy.
Yep.
So
let's move on to our dinner. So we are at dinner, as you recall, and I'm asking tons and tons of questions. And tell everybody, what was that doing for you, to you? Why was it special? Why did it do something for you then?
Right.
You know? Why you?
Right. Well, because prior really to Michael, a lot of the guys that I had dated, I didn't feel like they really wanted to get to know me, know my heart. It was more of a physical thing. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what it was. I think they wanted, physical affection. And so they would say whatever they needed to say to puff me up. Whereas Michael went to the heart, and I'd never really had anybody ask me personal questions about my life, my childhood, my dreams, whatever. And so it just made me feel so special, so set apart, so cared for. Like I felt like him wanting to get to know who I wasn't him trying, to get something physical from me at all.
So
it was really cool. It really built me up. I
think this is why this time of year, which is November, this is why the girls want to sit down and they want to watch Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah, we love Hallmark.
Because it's all about the relationship. It's all about the questions, right?
Yeah.
And what is society day in and day out? It is just looks, sex, everything that's not Hallmark. And then the Hallmark comes along and it's just, hey, let's watch Hallmark movies. Why? Because it's all about the emotional.
Right.
And so
we women, ladies, girls, we need that emotional connection.
Exactly.
And when we get that emotional connection, we're hooked.
Yep.
We're hooked.
Yep. And
Yep.
we want the physical connection. We are all about the physical, the eye, what we're seeing, all that. And it's like we're trained as guys in society. We're trained over and over. That's all we see day in and day out. And it's obviously it's too much. It's just ridiculous. That's the way naturally. And so what do ladies do? They say, oh, this must be what the guy wants.
Right.
This is what society is.
That's right.
Let society just feed you and feed you and feed you that you have to look this way, or you have to do this, you have to act this way, or you have to be the pursuer, you have to be the tiger, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad we did not have social media when I was in my early 20s.
That would have been a level of pain I would have gone through like nobody would have imagined.
You possibly may not have dated me. Because, if I'm getting attention back then
I have no words.
If I'm getting attention back then from people who puffed me up and said nice things about the appearance, even though deep down I thought so low of myself. So when people would even tell me that they found me pretty or whatever, I literally would be gracious and say thank you. And inside I would literally be like, they're lying. They're lying. I really didn't believe it. That's how bad my self-esteem was. So social media back then would have been horrible.
And I think something that I think guys do not understand is they will look at a girl and they will think whatever they think about that girl. Mm-hmm. She's so awesome. She's so attractive. She's whatever. How could she have low self-esteem? There's no possible way she could have low self-esteem. Right. It's impossible. So we don't even get that, right? Because we're all about the looks and we're all about this. And if we say something, it's true. You're beautiful, you're hot, you're whatever. How could she not see that? How could she not understand the way I'm feeling? Like I'm telling you, you should have high self-esteem. And yet the girl won't have high self-esteem, right?
This is my thought. Again, I'm no expert, but I think it's because when we're little, if your parents are married, not married, whoever's raising you, no one's teaching boys and girls about how boys and girls are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
what makes them tick.
Right. No one's teaching us that. So when Michael tells me, oh, you look beautiful, and I literally have no makeup on and my hair's a wreck, and he's being super genuine when he says, oh, honey, you look so beautiful. I love your outfit. And I'm like in painting clothes or what I call my cleaning clothes or my pomegranate clothes. That is literally, I don't believe him. But as, we've been together and I understand now how men and boys think. It's like I believe him. I don't need 6 pounds of makeup and to always look perfect for him to think that that's attractive. Guys kind of like how'd you explain it?
Well, I think guys like everything. And so guys are going to look at a girl who's dressed up in some awesome, super sexy dress, high heels, whatever. And then that same exact girl, when she's in gym clothes, is just as hot to him. And that's hard for her to understand.
Correct.
Totally hard. It's just what kind of frame of mind is that guy in? And
it would have saved me a lot of time, because I can remember even when we were married, at any moment I thought you could leave me at any moment. So, oh my goodness, I can remember, like I told you about the brushing the hair. I would brush my hair. I'd make sure my outfits looked good. I made sure I smelled good every time I knew you were coming home.
And then I don't notice.
Yeah, or
it doesn't hit me. What do you think how's that going to go over?
And I was like, not like I should look like a schlep every time, but I could have had a little more freedom if I really knew how guys ticked, right?
I think probably the moral of the story is
just be you.
Just be you.
Just be you.
If you're in your gym clothes and then you feel like dressing up, or you feel like this, or you feel like you're doing your hair this way or that way, we're probably like toys. We like a lot of toys. So if
a lot of variety.
It's just however you are.
You like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like she's like, how do you want my hair? How do you want your hair today? You want it down? You want just do something. Just Ponytail. 2 ponytails.
Do something.
Put it over there. Put it over there. It's not always just make sure it's all curly and
Perfect.
looks like you're going to the prom. Right. It's just, yeah, that's a great look. Sometimes it's just the ponytail.
The prom.
Sometimes it's just emo. You just put it over your
Emo?
put it over your face, right? It doesn't matter.
I don't wear my hair emo.
Well, you should start.
Oh my gosh, that's funny, honey.
All right, where are we here? So that was what was going on with dinner. Was just me getting to your heart and touching your heart instead of the physical that you were basically used to.
Yep.
So after dinner, as you remember, we flew around and finally eventually got back to the hotel. And we got back to the hotel. And of course, at this point, there was the fork in the road of whose room do you go to? What do we do? This is where I want to talk about boundaries a little bit because I was in a different frame of mind then than I am now. I'm in a good frame of mind now, the way I see life.
You were 20.
I was 20, but I mean, I wasn't mature like a lot of 20-year-olds in regards to my walk. You know, I am a faithful Christian and I try to walk the walk. I don't want to just talk about it. I want to walk the walk. As I said, I think in the past, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Right? So I didn't want to give up what I knew the truth was, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I want what I want. And so to have this extremely hot girl I'm attracted to say, why don't you just come back to my room? I mean, dumb choice on my part. I should have said, well, that's great. Like today, I would say, okay, good idea, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to go sleep on the couch in the lobby of the hotel, right? Because I'm not going to be
boundaries. Yeah.
I'm going to set boundaries up. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing. I'm asking for trouble. I'm not going to say, well, I have these beliefs, but I'll go up there and I'm not going to do anything.
It's playing with fire, now that we know.
Yeah, it's playing with an atomic bomb is what that is. Now, fortunately, that was the one time we did not do anything, right? Yeah. So we didn't. But
I always thought, like I didn't know what was going to happen either, but because I thought for sure you were going to try something, because that's how it always went with people. And I obviously didn't have a problem saying, yeah, come up to the room. Because in my mind, I guess deep down, subconsciously, I thought, well, if I sleep with him, I've got him. Hook, line, and sinker. He's mine. Which, dumb. So dumb. But at the time, again, self-esteem, remember this much. So I didn't know. I didn't know it was going to happen. But at the moment, and I can remember it like yesterday, I was just like, oh, he's coming to the room. Let's just see what we see.
So fortunately, we didn't see anything.
No, right? We didn't see anything. No.
That was just going to be 30 days
We are
later.
Little burritos on either side of the bed, if you recall.
The point here is, set some boundaries. I am a real big, huge boundary guy.
Yeah, it's carried into the marriage.
And it's really, really hard to see anything if you don't open that door. And you can use any analogy possible, but when you have boundaries because you know what your limitations are, then you set those boundaries. And we'll talk a million times more about this. Money, set your boundaries with the money. Yeah, I'm not going to go into Best Buy if I love electronics and I don't have any money. I'm just going to go look. Oh, okay. It's Black Friday and I'm just going to go look.
Sir, we have a credit card. Do
you think you're going to leave there without anything? No, you're not. Set boundaries up if you can't handle that. And you know after as many mistakes as you make where your boundaries are. And so you learn about your boundaries. You learn where is that point of no return for me. And it may be completely different than your buddy or your girlfriend. That's okay. Set your boundaries and stick to those boundaries. If you have a drinking problem, I'm probably not going to want to go to the bar and hang out with my friends and say, oh, I'm not going to drink. It's going to happen. Know what your boundaries are. Set those boundaries. And again, we'll talk about those. Things, yeah. We'll talk about those definitely as we progress through our 30 years in boundaries and the mistakes that we made when we didn't set boundaries and what ended up happening. Everybody has experience in what I'm talking about, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. So we, as you recall, she goes home. I talk to her on the phone. We our letters, long distance relationship, phone calls, etc. Probably wrote a letter every single day so that we'd get one every single day, which was super fun. I mean, that was really, really fun. But we finally met each other 30 days later in Las Vegas. And that was because I had a trip out to Las Vegas.
The snow skiing.
The snow skiing situation. So talk a little bit about the snow skiing in regards to
why I did what I did.
Well, because you like the cold about as much as, kick in the head.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But yet, why did you do it?
Well, again, the same silly reason I did anything was because I wanted to impress you.
Right.
I wanted you to think that if Michael would have said, hey, do you know how to race an F1 car? I would have been like, yeah, done it lots of times. I would have gotten in that car and faked it until I crashed. I would have done anything to, I guess in my mind, I thought I was like securing that there wasn't anyone better out there for you than me. So I sort of lost lost myself to who, I was still who I was. I just bent the truths of certain things so that you would think I was way cooler than I guess I was. Even though I was cool. I
think it was your form of pursuing me.
A little bit. Well, no, trapping you. I guess it was
trapping me.
Trap. He's been stuck for 33 years now. No, I didn't look at it as a trap. But in all honesty, I wanted you to be like, she's the coolest girl I've ever dated. This is so much fun.
And that's what I thought.
What else is up her sleeve? And so for me, it was definitely, I wanted to impress you. I wanted to impress you. Same kind of thing. I wanted you to think, wow, that's neat. She can snow ski. I literally don't even know how I faked and did it because you didn't act like I let on.
I think when girls do stuff that guys like to do and the girls really isn't interested, it's almost as if I'm sending you flowers. I really don't.
Wait, what?
I'm really not into flowers myself.
Right. You don't care if you get...
Yeah, like if you sent me flowers, I really would be like, what are you sending me flowers for? But if you go to a sporting event, if you go shoot guns, if you go do this, that is my flowers.
Right. That's your love language.
So in other words, when I quit sending you flowers and you quit doing the things that I enjoy because we've been together too long, it's going to be the same exact effect.
Right.
It's going to be like, well, she's not into me anymore.
Well,
or he's not into you anymore because I don't send flowers. He doesn't write me little love notes anymore. He doesn't pursue me anymore.
Right.
Well, she doesn't pursue me anymore. So here's an example. We know this couple. Okay.
I don't know what you're going to say.
We know this couple. They were married for 32 years.
Oh, yes. We do know them
very well.
Yes.
They get divorced. He was majorly into golf.
Big golfer.
Just big time.
Yeah,
she could care less, had no interest in it, didn't want to go play golf with him, nothing at all.
Nothing.
Well, she liked to plant.
She was a gardener. Very good gardener, yes.
Right?
Yes.
The last thing he'd do in his life is touch. Yeah, exactly right. So guess what? They get divorced. They get remarried. I'm sorry, one of them gets remarried.
Correct.
And what does the one that gets remarried do?
He gardens. He
Starts
gardens
to garden
all the
with
dang
his new
time
wife.
with his new wife. Like, what? And guess what she does?
She watches golf.
The Golf Channel.
She watches the Golf Channel. Now, please tell me what's wrong with these people. What if they would have done that with their spouse at the time? Why are they finding interest in it now?
After they're divorced.
After the divorce, and they didn't find interest in. So there's just an example, and I see this a lot with couples.
Well, they think it's a red flag. Like if you're dating and you're not married yet, we've heard this recently where someone thought, well, if someone doesn't like sports, but the other one loves it, is that a red flag? And it's like, we personally think that a lot of younger people overthink. They just overthink a little too much with all these red flags and these lists that they have for their potential person.
Now but let's put that into context. The context of most of the kids that we would be around and how they look at, okay, I want to have a relationship. I'm looking for the right guy. I'm looking for the right girl. They are in the same wavelength as we would be. Is they're a faith-based person that is looking for a relationship. They want to find that Christian mate. They want to find that person who, is very like-minded to them. And so in the past, I couldn't investigate her with social media.
Oh, yeah.
I got what I got.
You hired
I only know
a PI.
who she is.
Or you didn't.
I only know who she is by hanging out with her.
Uh-huh.
I can't go to Instagram. I can't go to Facebook. I can't do any of the forms to try to get this picture of who I'm interested in. And so, 20 swipes later, 20 pages later, you read up and say, I'm not interested in that person. That might not be a good idea. And here's a good example of why. Tell them about the cussing thing.
So when Michael and I first started dating, at some point along the way, I realized, wow, he cusses a lot.
I had a viper tongue on me.
I'm not talking like little words like the bombs,
MFers.
the MFers, the F-bombs. That was his go-to. And it wasn't like I was perfect. I was kind of a little bit, we'll say, new to the faith, new to the walk with Jesus, we call it. But it just bugged me. It just like you cuss a lot.
Your word's an S word is what you say. If I was to punch you right now, you'd say the S word.
I would. It would just fly out. I try to stop it. I can't. Yeah, but anyway, so he cussed a lot. And I remember just one day, I wasn't going to change him. And I just happened to say on a date, hey, Michael, do you notice that you seem to cuss a lot? And I can remember the conversation a little bit. We didn't talk a lot about it, but you said, oh, do I? Yeah, I guess so. My sister cusses too. And yeah, okay. So I just brought it up.
The friends I hung out with, they were potty mouths, just beyond belief.
And that was it. I never said another word again. And he literally...
I pretty much turned that spigot off. It was really I would say, if it bothered her and I was into her, then I'm not going to do what bothers her.
Like if I saw that on social media, current day, if it was social media and I thought, oh, this guy's hot, blah, blah, blah. Wow, he cusses a lot in all of his comments. I probably would have been like,
not interested.
So
I think you need to give people a chance is what we're saying.
a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if you can hang out with people.
I challenge them. I challenge you, whoever's listening that isn't married, that the next time you meet a guy or girl, do not go down the rabbit trail of social media to find out who they are. I dare you, and whoever is listening, tell your friends and hold each other accountable. Just don't do it. Don't do it. And it could be like a new experiment for you guys and something fun to laugh about if you go on the date and you're like, loser. But seriously, be surprised. That'd be fun.
I think that would open up the world. I think that would open up the world maybe a little bit more, is to give people a chance by hanging out with them as opposed to doing
Maybe they didn't take down a post that they had 3 years ago and they should have. I mean, who knows? We're just spitballing here.
I see that a lot though in today's.
But the point is, we do this. The point is, he stopped cussing, not necessarily for me.
I did it for you.
I guess you did, but I didn't force you to.
No, you didn't.
I just mentioned it that one time, and you just, Yeah. Now, not to say we have been married almost 33 years, and I may say the S word, but boy, when something happens to him.
Well, I mean, honestly, if I stub my toe, it's coming out.
That foxtrot word shows up, but it makes me laugh now.
It's not funny.
It is funny.
Maybe it is. It's like a foreign language that I learned so well.
I know.
That it's like dreaming. I dream in it.
That's funny.
Oh, gosh. So I want to talk about, after that Las Vegas trip, the next trip that I had about a month later was out to San Diego to meet her family.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a big sigh because, family dynamics, let alone your own, but when you put another family dynamic into yours, and people who date see this, people who are engaged and then deal with the engagement situation, the wedding situation, I would say is probably the first time that the family can rear up. And more than likely, it's the ladies that rear up, because the wedding is such an important aspect to this union, right? That
the guys.
We hear
haven't heard a lot of guy issues.
Yeah, the guys are like, whatever.
I haven't heard a lot
We're
of
just
guy
going to go.
issues.
I'm going to show up, right, to the wedding.
Tell me what to wear.
And the girls, I don't know how many conversations we've had where the girls, oh my gosh, my mother-in-law was this and this and this, and then the mom's like, oh, she's this way, and she wanted to do this, and I couldn't even say anything about the wedding. And here it goes. Here it goes.
It's the beginning.
So you talk about some serious baggage because, number one, the mom has been thinking about her daughter's wedding forever or her son's wedding forever. And then the daughter has been thinking about her own wedding. Or the son's fiance is thinking about the wedding. She's been dreaming about this. She has lists of what she wants. And so old lady's going to get involved in deciding what goes on at my wedding. That's the way that it is. And it has caused major battles, fights, drama. It's unbelievable. And so when we talk about family,
marrying the family,
on these many, many flights that we're going to take together, the family dynamics, the family stories that we have to deal with are unbelievable, and they will not stop. They won't stop. In some regards, it gets better, and in some regards, it gets worse. And then in other regards, it goes from bad to worse to okay to better to great. And it's just and it's not like we're saying, okay, if your person's other family, isn't what you would choose, we're not saying don't be with that person, don't marry that person. Not at all. We're just saying nobody would get married
prepared.
if that was the case.
Right.
Nobody would.
Just be prepared and have very open communication with your future spouse.
As an example,
about what could
I'll just
be
bring this
happening.
up because it's happened today. Jennifer and I have been married for 33 and a half years. No, 32 years. Been together for almost 34. She takes my mom to the doctor's office.
Oh, golly.
And I'm just not going to tell you. But she had to deal with a situation with my mom, which was not
Why are you whispering?
politically correct. Because I'm scared.
Be very scared.
But I mean, it doesn't end, is the point. It's like this, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yes.
It is
and
the
then
gift that keeps giving.
I tell him.
No ill intent.
No.
But man, it comes off like a bomb.
I tell him because in the moment I'm horrified and I kind of think it's funny, right? A little bit, but horrified. And I'm telling him, but with him, it brings up his baggage and it makes him mad. So then we get home and I have to say, honey, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Just, it's okay. You know, she's 87. Her intention isn't
horrible.
It's just she's 87.
You have to look through the forest to kind of see what's on the other side.
Right.
You know? And that's a good point
But your patience with her is a little bit less just because it's the son.
I mean, families always have less patience with each other than somebody else who doesn't have the ins and outs, right? So we were in San Diego and met her family. You remember the story about Jennifer playing the board game, of course, and what happened there.
Goodness.
Her family was a lot of fun. And at the time, when you're in this aura of, I'm wanting to fall in love with you, you may not see what you see later on. You, number one, don't have the time to see things. Or number two, it just takes events in life to rear their ugly head. So you don't know that, oh gosh, mother-in-law is going to be an issue, or brother's going to be an issue, brother-in-law is going to be an issue 33 years later. Like that's going to be a thorn in our side and cause friction in our marriage in how we deal with it because of an outside force. I say this all the time. If you could be on a deserted island with your mate.
The only thing you'd fight about is who gets the coconuts today and the mangoes so we could survive. That's about
outside
it.
Outside
right?
of that, until you have the outside forces of your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your work, you name it, all the things that go on that are out of your control, but it's how you are affected by it, and then how your spouse sees that, how your mate sees that. It may not bother me that my mom does this, but man, it riles her up, or vice versa. It may not bother that her brother says this or does this, but for me, in the way I was raised, which was different, it's going to drive me crazy. So how do I talk to Jennifer about that?
How do we navigate it?
How is she affected by it? Do I push her buttons and then she just gets mad and pushes my buttons, and then there it is. There's a fight just like that. And this is where you have to, when like the Bible talks about leave and cleave, you really need to leave your family and cleave on to who your spouse is going to be. You have to, that is your world now. They have to be the priority, and things have to be filtered through there. And that is a tough pill to swallow for family members when that happens to them. But that is the best way, is get your relationship right, talk through that baggage, talk through those things that are inevitably going to come up weekly, monthly, yearly. It just seems like
daily.
It's a consistent deal. It really is.
We could talk forever on that. You're right. And it'll come up again. You'll see.
Yep. We had, after that meeting or that family, dynamic that we had with Jennifer, and I met her, then it was probably back, I don't think I came to California again until I got the job.
Correct.
And so you would just take trips out to Florida. And it was, it wasn't although we had a fun time, it was a time that, looking back as a follower now, we were bad. We were just bad.
We did what we wanted.
Yeah, I already said 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was kind of like, okay, if I had 1 foot in pretty far on that side, the good side, and 1 foot out, it was like, okay, I'm starting to go the other direction here.
Yeah, because we figured.
Talk about lust.
We justified it, thinking, well, we're probably going to get married, so we'll be together anyway, so what's a big deal? But
yeah, and for me, because I wasn't pure before I met Jennifer, I can still recall things about my past that I don't want to have memories about. I don't want to remember situations in my past of things that I did, because now I'm married to my wife, and I want
guys
her.
Are visual, right?
And guys are visual. We remember, and I don't want to have those memories of things in the past that I did. When I'm with this woman now, and I have the walk that I have, I look back and say, I'd just like to erase them, but it's a tattoo on your brain.
For guys,
and so, talking to the young people now, the ones that are in relationships, don't justify your decisions that you make with your mate, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, because you say, oh, we're practically married, or we're engaged, because guaranteed you will have those regrets if something happens in that relationship. And number one, it's not even right scripturally. It's not even right scripturally
so
for that to happen.
Professing to be a Christian,
a follower, then you know what the Bible says. But the point is too, if those relationships don't extend to marriage, you're going to look back, and that's going to be a memory that you are not going to be happy with for the rest of your life. You're forgiven. It's, the past is the past, but it's still a memory you're not fond of.
And in this day and age, in society, it's whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, especially, but even Christians, like, they feel like it's totally fine, like it's okay. And it seems very old school, very old fashioned, but, there's a reason why God basically wants you to wait. He has it perfectly set up for us if we just listen And so, there could be some of you out there listening and you've already had sex, but you're engaged or you're going to get married or whatever. It's never too late to stop. I mean, we finally, I don't know what, 2 months, maybe, before we got married. And we had done this, I can't even tell you, 3, 4, 5 times where we said, no more sex. Let's start fresh again when we get married. And we screwed up. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of God. He forgives us. He forgets. And you start fresh. And then we were able to go a couple of months before we actually got married and, start there.
And the moral of that story is we did not set boundaries.
Zero boundaries. We didn't know that word back then.
No, we didn't know the word, but we certainly knew what it was. It wasn't a popular word.
Yeah, we felt bad.
But it wasn't But if you're not going to sleep in a bed with somebody that you're attracted to
and not expect something to happen.
And not expect something to happen. That's not. So there's a boundary that if you cross that boundary, you've already lost.
Right.
You've already completely lost.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Let's see. Okay. All right. we kind of unpacked that. We kind of went through that.
Mm-hmm. Just the first couple
we already
years,
talked, I believe, last flight about the stoplight story.
We did.
Right?
Yeah, I wanted to jump out of the car.
You wanted, yes, exactly. And we really got to the root. Do you feel like we got to the root of why that happened?
I think so. Want me to recap?
As a recap,
quick recap.
Yeah.
Want me to recap? Just
recap.
Obviously,
it was our first big giant. What in the heck is going on here?
Yeah,
This is
in
insanity.
Looking back, it's because I was, excuse me, very insecure, and like I said, we didn't know if the girl was even pretty that Michael was looking at. It was just. It was a girl. And that's all I needed. That was the only ignition I needed. That's right. And I went crazy, psycho-jealous, said jump out of the car, all this crazy stuff. And, it's because in looking back now, I can trace that to, my dad left the family when I was in middle school. And so I felt abandoned. I felt like, any guy I was with was going to leave me. Again, I didn't know that back then, but that was part of it. And the fact that he had multiple affairs. And so for me growing up, I guess that made me feel like women are disposable. No one really feels that special if you can just keep moving on and have these affairs. So that's the recap. That's sort of what played into that for sure.
Right.
Was just the insecurity, the abandonment, disposable women, things like that. So, yeah.
Well, listen, we have basically gone through the first 15 months of our relationship. We unpacked the baggage, we told our story, and then we kind of got into the weeds a little bit on why. And hopefully we're able to help you navigate your own beginning relationship so that you don't make the same mistakes. Next time that we meet on flight number 4, we're going to go into the first 2 years of our marriage, and we're going to tell the story of what that was like. And it all started pretty much in the beginning.
Yes.
I would say not wedding day, because we're going to tell the story, but it was the rehearsal day before or so. All this took place in San Diego. So come back with us. We certainly enjoyed you being with us. And if you always have any questions, send them our way. However you guys do that, send the questions. We'd love to answer your questions. We'd love to address those in a future flight. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.
Like and subscribe if you liked it.
All right.
Thank you. See you next time.